Hello, this is John Ramsey, and this is My Big Comeback. And let me tell you, I've got a great podcast for you today. Whether you're watching us on YouTube or listening on one of the podcast platforms, I've got Dr. Irvin Clark from Florida State University. And Dr. Clark, it's great to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Tell me something about what you do at Florida State.
Well, my title is Associate Dean of Student and Strategic Initiatives. And I said, don't spend a lot of time trying to figure out what that is. Is whatever the dean doesn't want to do. But no, in all seriousness, anything involving the student outside of the classroom. So student affairs, conduct, disabilities, accessibilities, veterans, student engagement, student activities. Yeah, all those things plus advancement. And I have a strategic initiative component to my job, so I can be anywhere within our service area.
That's what it takes, isn't it?
It is.
Got to get out there and get with them.
Listen, we're not the Tallahassee campus. We are FSU Panama City. Yeah. And we're small, 11-to-1 student-faculty ratio. And so it's upfront and personal. And so the good thing about my job, I get to be upfront and personal, and I love that.
Well, you know, I mean, not only upfront and personal, but when I go on the FSU Panama City campus, it is beautiful.
Oh my God!
I mean, I looked at those new dorms and I thought, I want to live here.
You can.
It looks like it's beautiful.
You want to live there?
I mean, it's beautiful, beautiful waterfront. It's just beautiful.
Just enroll in 2 classes and you can live there.
Just enroll in 2 classes. Let me tell you, this guy been cracking me up.
I'm always telling.
He's cracking me up. This is going to be a fun interview. Tell me something about your journey to FSU, how you got there, and what some of the things you've been through.
Ooh, boy, I gotta go back. I gotta go back a little bit.
Go back a little bit.
So I'm actually I'm a product of Northwest Florida, tiny place called Greensboro, Florida.
Greensboro,
I didn't say North Carolina.
That's over just past Tallahassee.
No. If you take 231 to 20. Go through Clarksville. Yep, and go through downtown Bluntstown, cross the bridge into the Eastern Time Zone. In Liberty County, Bristol, right in front of the high school. Make the left turn. Go 18 miles to the flashing caution light.
The outskirts of Bristol.
You're in the big city of Greensboro. Most people take that shortcut to get to I-10.
What am I thinking of when I think of Tallahassee? Because I remember Ray Charles was from Greenville. Where it's from.
That's
what
Jefferson
I'm
County.
That's
on the other side.
That's
I'm in Greensboro. Gadsden.
That's
County.
A little tiny place.
About 400 and something people. And the seat of the government is in a place called Quincy, Florida. Correct. Yeah. And that's where I'm from. And I didn't go to college right out of high school. Matter of fact, I graduated from high school on a Wednesday. That Monday, I was Hayes Grade on the way in the United States Navy. Wow. Yeah, so I served my country. Some of my best years, and that's when I decided I needed to get a college degree, and so I got out in Navy in '87 and went to FAMU and majored in political science. Walked on to the football team, and somebody thought I was good enough to play.
Great.
Yeah.
What position you play?
I was a defensive lineman.
Defensive lineman.
I actually like to hit people.
Yeah, and you know, you told me you just had some leg surgery. Is that football?
Well, that's what I think so. I think some of that stuff is coming back to haunt me.
I'm telling you, a lot of guys I've seen them play football, man, they carry the scars from it.
Yeah, well, people say, would I do it over? I said, of course I would.
Absolutely.
But I would hit people harder.
You hit people harder.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. So after FAMU, where did it take you?
I actually got drafted in '91, played with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a free agent. Yeah. And unfortunately, I tore up my right knee, LCL, MCL, and the ACL. And I was in my rookie camp, so I was on the team for the whole year. Yeah. But on injured reserve.
What year was that?
91.
91.
And then from there, I left and went back to FAMU 1 year as a graduate assistant coach. And in '92, I went to a small historically black college called Savannah State University in Savannah, Georgia, to coach football, track, and to run a dormitory. And after
which was the hardest, the football, the track, or the dormitory?
All of it. All of the above. Well, it gave me an opportunity to really understand higher education. And, and it was bottom up. Yeah. And being at a athletic program that didn't have an athletic foundation, you had to do other jobs and stuff in order to to work in small places like that. And so we did what I call blind recruiting. You had to go out, and it was a Division II school, so you wasn't gonna take a prospect from FSU or Georgia or Alabama, but a kid that wasn't a qualifier, it was a good opportunity.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
so, it was a good experience for me. Had a chance to make a difference in the lives of young folks, and had one or two guys go on to the pros. So.
Well, you'll be, and see, this is what I love about interviews, because as you talk, you learn stuff you don't know.
Sure.
So, like all of this with the changes in college football and sponsorships and all what they're talking about with Nick Saban talking about and all, what's it done and what's going to happen? I don't think it's going to stay like it is, because I don't think it's going to work.
Well, when I was coming along, you can enroll in 12 hours of anything in the 80s.
Yeah.
And literally take a bunch of courses and stuff that didn't go towards a degree, and at the end of 4 years, you need 4 more years just to get a degree.
Yeah, because you played football for 4 years.
Yeah, but I was intentional because I was in the Navy for 4 years.
But what I'm talking about is people that do that. I'm not talking about
I didn't have time to waste. And then the NCAA put measures and stuff in place because when I was in school during the 80s, there was a 19% chance of me graduating across all football programs, NCAA. And I'm like, wow, that's less than 1 in 5.
Yeah.
And so by having the NCAA clearinghouse to check students on the front end, but also with all the 75% clauses that you had to declare a major, complete 75% of your coursework, to me, that guaranteed that you are on your track towards getting a degree while you're
because that's the important thing.
It is
the
important.
Education.
Now with the portal and the NIL,
portal, that make it so complicated.
A lot of people, you hear about people entering the portal 3 and 4 times, and I'm just curious. Maybe there's something that I do not know, but I'd be curious to know over the last 3 or so years since it's been in place, what have been the impacts around graduation rates.
Yeah, I just don't see how to work.
I think that's a big gray area.
Just
now.
take a student who's he's not getting played where he wants to, or not as much as he wants to.
He's
bolts. Yeah. And so you got this constantly moving group of players. I don't think it's gonna work.
Well, I tell people football is like the game of life. Cream rises to the top.
Yeah.
And those ones that I never thought that I would get to where I will with them. You have to give yourself options. I once heard of. I don't know if you ever remember a guy named Jerry Glanville. Harley Davidson riding Jerry Glanville. He told a player, he said, son, one more mistake like that, and then NFL for you is going to stand for not for long.
Not for long.
But he said, I'm going to force you to exercise your other options. Now listen to this.
Yeah.
If you have any.
If you have any.
But you got to create the options.
I heard,
and
I don't know if it's right.
Options for you.
I've heard the average NFL career is only 7 years.
No, the average NFL career is 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, so
you better have something else to do.
Yeah, so they set the retirement that if you could make 4 years, so I wasn't there long enough to qualify for a retirement. Yes,
isn't that something?
It is, well,
and see, that's why it's so they got to get an education.
Yes,
because you're not going to play football forever. You simply cannot.
And let's get a good education or get a good trade.
Yeah.
You need a credential in your hand. Yeah, and attempted hours at getting a degree, and I have all the respect in the world for career technical education training. Have you hired a plumber lately?
Oh yeah,
or an electrician?
Well, and this is something I was going to bring up, but it's the phrase that I just heard recently of purple collar, not white collar, not blue collar, purple collar, and what it is hands-on, highly technical trades.
Yes.
Like for one example they give was a medical equipment technician. Yes. There's some physical, mechanical work to do, but you got to have a whole bunch of knowledge to do it. You just can't. I mean, when you talk about things like these Da Vinci machines and stuff that they're doing all the surgeries on. What was another one was aviation mechanics.
Yes.
Because. Equipment in general, from music, I know we're building a new church and all our new equipment is digital.
Yes.
So the old analog stuff, you don't even use it anymore.
You don't even use it anymore.
So there's a degree of knowledge and learning that goes on with almost every trade now.
Sure.
Some of them becoming more technical than others. So it's kind of a cross, but it's not just sitting at a desk.
No.
Take your hands, but you're going to have to use your head too.
Well, the exciting thing about my job, I come in contact with all kinds of prospective students.
Yeah.
And I would tell young folks, listen, you might be a better fit for Haney.
Yeah.
Haney is a great institution.
Great school.
Or maybe, FSU's not an easy place to get into.
Yeah.
80-something thousand applications only to accept 6,300.
Yeah.
We tell a lot of people no.
Now let me ask you that, because some people may not know this. Is it FSU Panama City and FSU Tallahassee? Are they totally separate schools?
No, sir. They're all one.
They're all one.
FSU
so when I
Panama-
apply for one, I'm applying for both.
No.
No.
You can
Okay,
intentionally apply for each one, but we're not separately accredited.
Yeah.
From the Tallahassee campus.
Same degree.
Same. When you get a degree, Panama City is nowhere on it.
Yeah.
We are an extension.
Yeah, extension.
And then we don't use the words branch campus, satellite campus, or main campus. We say that's the Tallahassee campus. This is the Panama
But
City.
it's all FSU.
But we're all Seminoles.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And we share in those very high top 25 ranking, number 10 rankings by Nietzsche. You know, we share in all of that. We are a Carnegie-rated Research 1.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the campuses are beautiful.
Yes.
Now, let me get back to you just a minute. So we're leaving Savannah.
We're leaving Savannah.
Where did you go next?
I ended up staying there 20 years.
20 years?
Yeah.
So you did a long time.
Yeah, I did master's and doctorate degree while from different, master's at Savannah State and a doctorate from a university in California. And rose through the ranks to become from a lowly football coach to residence hall director to vice president for student affairs.
Great.
And then I left in 2013 and went to Radford University in Radford, Virginia, about 12 or so miles from Virginia Tech.
How big a school is that? I'm not familiar with it.
10,000 or so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the shadows of Virginia Tech, but great institution. At one time, it was an all-female institution. And so, but Radford was a great place. And then one day I get a phone call from an 850 number, and I answered all those calls.
The 850 is calling.
I knew it was in Northwest Florida.
You didn't know where it was at.
Well, I knew that my mom was having medical issues. And the voice on the other line said, "Hey, I heard your mama was sick." I said, "Well, just called me from Northwest Florida talking about my mama's sick." He said, "This is Randy Hanna." I said, "Randy Hanna, the guy from Greensboro High School that went to the University of Florida on a scholarship? The one who had the best hog and won the state championship in parliamentary procedures?" He said, "That's me." Because we're both, the dean and I are both from the same place.
That's neat.
It is. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
That's neat. You can't make that stuff
No.
up. And so he pulled you over.
He said, "Hey, this is only 63 miles away from home."
From home, yeah.
And so it was the best decision because my mom passed 7 months after I got here.
Oh,
But
man. She was there.
You could never get that back.
You could never get, my dad just passed on just over a month ago.
Yeah. And
you never get it
People
back.
don't know how much you care until you show how much you care. And with my mom,
You gotta be there.
I would have done it 1,000,000 times over.
Man,
Yes,
that's
sir.
a beautiful
Yes,
story.
sir. Yes,
So
sir.
you was here.
I was here. Yeah, and then I was in a fantastic place. You never know how God's going to set you up.
Yep, that's right.
And I tell people that ministry is not necessarily in a church and behind a pulpit.
No.
You get a chance to impact lives, and you can see your efforts.
That's right.
You can really see it. Now, nothing against the other places where I worked. They were great places, but FSU Panama City is special.
Special.
And if you think about all the great things that have been happening between the campuses, our relationship with Gulf Coast State College, Haney,
New
Bay
hospital.
District School, new hospital.
Tell me about the new hospital.
Hey,
That's a big deal.
that's $414 million.
That's
It's
a big deal.
Research focused around quality of life.
Wow.
And just think about that. With all the Margaritaville and 30A and
The only 55 and over
plus 55
community
plus
in
communities.
the area is
Correct.
Margaritaville.
Yeah, think about that and that relationship.
Put a
with
hospital
the-
right across the street.
with the St. Joe Company, the Tallahassee Memorial Hospital, and the FSU College of Medicine.
That is
And
fantastic.
then we having med students here, third and fourth years.
So the initial investment is $14 million.
414.
$414
Yeah, that
and
was-
$14
yeah,
million.
14 million would get you
14 million just in the parking lot. no room. $414 million investment in the hospital.
Once they built it, that'd
Wow.
be a 600-bed facility, 80 acres.
Wow.
And here
That's beautiful.
in Bay County,
We-
serving this area.
We needed it. And, because that booming area of 30A and Walton
Yes.
County and stuff, so it kind of services both. It's
Yes.
beautiful.
But
It's a
now think
beautiful
about
thing.
all of the great opportunities for FSU Panama City. In fact, we will start a new bachelor's degree in interdisciplinary medical science that has a pathway to med school.
Yeah.
And it's just the beginning.
Has FSU traditionally been a med school?
Well, we're a medical school that's only like 20-ish or maybe 30 years old. We're not old like Shands at the University of Florida, but we're growing into our own. Yeah.
Sounds like
And then think about the opportunity the growth opportunities between the bookends of Leon County, Tallahassee, and Pensacola, Escambia County.
That is fantastic. Well, we're going to take a break just a moment. I'll be right back in just a minute. I got Dr. Irvin Clark. Stay with us.
Harvest Christian Academy, quality child care and preschool for children infant to 5 years old. We are state certified and licensed through DCF with an experienced caring staff. We also offer free volunteer pre-kindergarten for all 4-year-olds. Harvest Christian Academy for all your child care needs. Enroll your child today. Call 850-271-9647.
Hey, this is John Ramsey. I've got this wonderful guest with us today, Dr. Irvin Clark from FSU, and we've been talking about the campus. We've been talking about FSU, Panama City, the new hospital, all these things. But you're also a minister. Tell me about that.
I'm a part-time Methodist minister.
Part-time Methodist. You're not a part-time Methodist. You're a part-time Methodist
minister.
That's right.
Well, I've been
Tell me
Methodist
about
my whole life, and God has blessed me that I've been at almost 2 years at Honeyville United Methodist Church. And prior to that, I was at Greenwood United Methodist
Where's
Church.
Honeyville?
It's in the big city of Weewall, Hitchcock.
Weewall.
Just take Highway 22 and take that beautiful ride and see
great.
the beautiful landscape and get to downtown Weewall. And
You don't mind driving, do you?
Listen, it's only 37 miles.
37 miles.
Well, I was at Greenwood United Methodist Church prior to that, which is about 12 miles north of Mariana in Greenwood. And
so you grew up Methodist?
I grew up Methodist. I've been Methodist my whole life.
Your whole life?
My whole life. Yeah.
That is great. What church did you go to as a child?
Union Chapel.
Union Chapel.
AME Church in
That's beautiful.
In the Sawdust community.
You know,
now, if you tell me you know where Sawdust is,
I do not.
I think you may have been lost.
I appreciate a bunch of little churches over my lifetime, but I have not been there.
Yeah, well, it's halfway in between Greensboro, Florida, and Quincy, Florida. It is a unincorporated area.
Have you ever heard of sacred harp singing? Have you ever heard of that?
Oh, yeah.
I've only been one time, and every time I mention someone, they have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I remember it was an AME church where I heard that.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know if that was a thing with them or something. It's old-timey.
But see, you have to explore Northwest Florida. It's better from a Harley Davidson or at least a Jeep.
A lot of little towns, a lot of little communities.
Listen, but a lot of great places.
Full of great people.
And full of phenomenal people.
Yes.
People who love God and,
our faith is important.
It's
involved in everything we do, and I know that you dealing with the university, you're dealing with lives,
Sure.
and lives is everyone needs a measure of faith, no matter what you believe. No matter what you believe,
Absolutely.
you have to have that part of faith that causes you to believe bigger and further than where you are at that moment.
That's right.
That's where God comes into every life.
That's right.
And I think that inspiring people is part of what we do. Is inspiration. It's like this. I've talked about 3 different kinds of leadership. There's authoritarian, manipulative, and inspirational. Mm-hmm. Inspirational is the hardest to create want to in people. Mm-hmm. I always use King Saul, Absalom, and King David. King Saul was an authoritarian. Do this, I'm gonna hit you, I'm gonna beat you up. And Absalom, do this, and I'll favor you. I'm gonna give you that. But to create want to in the lives of people, where you just like David did in the Bible, you fight them because I'm gonna fight them with you. That's hard to do.
Well, mine is more like situational. So my situation. So people ask, well, how you end up being Methodist? Because that's what my parents were. And that was the only little church that was in the community with my grandparents and all mama and them and grandmama and them. That's where all my folks went. That's where I had to go.
Man,
and now I couldn't argue that with my parents.
Yeah.
But then I also couldn't argue, being at Greensboro Elementary and Greensboro High School, we said prayers and we said the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
And
I grew up like that.
And hey, Doc. Yeah. Hey, I turned that off.
You turned that.
I turned that off, man. Listen, but those value systems.
Oh, it's important.
Are critically important.
Man, I grew up where we prayed every morning. We said the pledge. And, I'm not one for making everybody do the same thing. but give people the opportunity to express their faith. You know, someone was surprised when I said that I really wasn't all right with the Supreme Court passing a law to make everybody put the 10 Commandments on the wall. And it wasn't that I'm against it. I'm all for it. But anytime you make somebody do something, you've taken the faith out of it.
Well, somebody asked me my
You
opinion.
got to choose Christ.
Somebody asked me my opinion about it, but I said, okay, if you just take the commandments and say, thou shalt not kill.
Yeah.
I would want to live in a world where people wouldn't kill each other.
Oh,
regardless of what you, I said, I wouldn't mind people, everybody having a value system of not stealing.
And you know, don't get me wrong, I'm for it. I'm
Yeah,
for all 610 commandments. I'm for them all. But the thing is when you make someone believe, they don't believe.
Yeah.
You know, so faith has to be a choice. You know, serving God has to be a choice.
Yeah,
and I think making people do something, I say it like this, you can't legislate righteousness.
No,
so
you can't.
it's a matter of you got to inspire people. You know, we've got to win the world.
Yeah.
The world's not going to be given to us, and we're not going to take it by force. We got to win them with the love of Christ, our most valuable tool.
Yeah, but then when I think about some of the other sides of it, though, and unfortunately, people make bad decisions.
They do.
And then I'm not gonna let you do what you want to do.
No, I get it.
I'm not. Then I'm gonna force you to live in a certain place in like Bay County Jail or one of our fine institutions, prisons in the state, and I'm gonna force you into something differently. I like it. You know, if Jesus tell us, you know, he said, feed my sheep.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not easy.
It's not easy.
And you know, you're gonna have some that are just willing and others that are not. But then if you think about there's consequences.
There's consequences. There is.
And if I could share the good news about how good the consequences have been for me to live within structure, we live within a society and not go against the grain, because then there's the other side of it. And you know, and you've been around planet Earth for a while yourself. Yeah. And unfortunately, I've seen poor choices.
Yeah, there is
young folks state and it's
ruin their lives.
Yeah,
with
just
one or two
ruin
bad
their lives.
decisions.
Just with just one or two bad decisions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you know, when we talk about inspiration, tell me a little bit about what's on Dr. Clark's bucket list. Some things you'd like to do, like to see.
Well, I mean.
Have you traveled much?
Well, I've had my times in different countries, Canada, and last year in February I was in South Korea.
Wait a minute, I saw that story where your daughter graduated. She was going to school in South Korea.
Yeah, she got her global MBA.
Tell me about that. How did she wind up there? And
how
did she pick that out?
She did her bachelor's degree at the University of Toronto. And of course, that was during COVID, and she couldn't study abroad. Her goal was just to spend 1 year in South Korea, because Korean was her language. Don't ask me, I only speak English, and sometimes people say I don't speak that too well. And so, because she could not study there during COVID, she decided to do her global MBA there.
Wow.
And so she went and embraced the culture, and I went there for her commencement ceremony, and it was a fascinating place. Too cold, too long to get there, but great people. Yeah, great people, and I think she got a wonderful degree, and she's in Brooklyn, New York, and
wow.
You know,
is she a linguist? What is she doing with that degree?
Well, she is bilingual in Korean, so in her circle of friends, she got a lot, but she's not, you know, specific, but she could. Yeah, she could.
That's great.
Gives her more options.
That's great. Yeah. Well, in a place like New York, you got a lot of opportunities
that's
there
right. A lot.
For stuff like that. Where else have you been besides South Korea?
Oh, wow. I've been to Ireland and England a few times.
Really?
Mexico,
Wow, you traveled.
No, I haven't been there everywhere, but, you know, I have more interest now in traveling the States. Yeah. I don't know if I want to do long trips anymore with my busted up joints.
That's tough.
No
flights to Australia.
Probably
that's
not.
A long
I think that
ride.
there's a lot my wife and I want to explore in the United States.
You've been out west?
I've been to California. I did my doctorate out there in Santa Barbara, but I would like to go to places like Montana, Wyoming. Never been to Washington State.
Yeah, that sounds like
go to the Dakotas.
I've been all across the South and west, all the way to California, and all, but I have not been up in that northern.
And I haven't been to Maine. I haven't been to Rhode Island.
I was born in Maine.
Yeah, so
but I haven't been to Seattle and Oregon and all that places.
I haven't been there either. So I think there's some great places.
Some places to see.
Yeah, hey, keep it on.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'm
that's
for
right.
that too. Yeah.
What you reading these days?
Well, the Josiah Manifesto.
Tell me about that.
Ooh,
I haven't read it.
It's a fascinating book. You you got to read it about some of the things that are happening. It's not predicting what will happen in the future, but it's drawing a timeline of events that have happened around a 50-year period of time. Specifically, like Roe v. Wade when it came into effect, and then when it was killed off. People like Judge Comey Barrett, when she was involved with it, she was just being born at that time.
Wow.
But the parallel between that and 50 years,
50-year circle,
a 50-year circle has been amazing.
That is amazing.
And so I say read it. It is eye-opening, and it's just not pushing religion or anything like that.
The Josiah Manifesto.
The Josiah
Man,
Manifesto.
I'm going to read it.
I forget the name of the author, but it is a fascinating
Have you read
book.
Sapiens?
No, I have not.
Oh, don't worry about that.
Okay.
That's a great book.
Oh, wow. I have to get that.
A lot
Check
of
this
great
out.
stuff. Of course, I like a lot of. I read all. I read a lot of different things, and I like a lot of historical fiction.
Yeah.
Just different stuff.
Well, a man need to know his history.
Oh yeah.
If not,
You
if
need
you
to
don't know where
his
you come
history.
from, you
That's
will
right.
repeat the same things.
Yeah, exactly.
Over and
over again.
That's right.
So I'm going to read this Josiah Manifesto because it sounds.
And I'm gonna
terribly
check out
interesting.
this Sapiens as
Yeah,
well.
that's real good,
Yeah,
real good.
I
You
will.
know, I think that a lot of what we see with, when people are reading different stuff, it's almost like traveling. You go in different places in your mind.
Yes.
And you get to, I remember reading a book called Nazi Billionaires, which sounds like a terrible title.
Okay.
But it was talking about how the businesses was confiscated. When Hitler took over Europe, places like Porsche and all those businesses that had been in families for years, the state just reached out and grabbed them and said, "You're doing this now. You're making tanks. You're doing this, whatever," and basically took it over. And if you didn't want to go along with it, they just removed you, put someone else
They
over.
put somebody else
So
in
like the factories became the government's factories. It would be like our government telling Chevrolet, you don't have a choice. We want you to make this.
Yeah.
And it talks about how it affected. It broke some families, and then other families became extremely wealthy. So it's once again history.
Yes.
When you look at history, and when you see changes, dramatic changes like are happening in our country, and the politics side of it, one side hates it, one side loves it. That's always going to be. You're always going to have
that's
people.
life.
That's life. People, I could make any decision, and I got a group of people that loves it, and a group of people that hates it. That's just life. But when you look at these bigger pictures, like I was talking with one of the attorneys that we had in here, and like the decisions coming down to the immigration issue. It's a big issue.
Oh, sure.
So the president says national security, which I get that. There is some national security to it. But the thing is, who makes the final decision on what national security is? What's the definition of that? And those are big gray areas where what is the answer to that?
Yeah.
And ultimately, it should come down to the Supreme Court. But it's who knows? Who knows where it's going to end up?
I majored in political science, and we are a nation of law.
Yes.
And I'm not saying there's no perfect system of anything on planet Earth, but if you compare it to the whole, we have a really good system.
Yeah.
And we have this process called voting.
Yes. Yes.
And even if there's questions about the voting processes, then we got processes for that.
Yeah.
And
elections matter. They
they do. But that's if you think about societies around planet Earth that does not have the infrastructure that we have here.
Yeah.
And I just wonder. I said, why would people in desperate situations, why they would want to come here? I get it. This is a wonderful place to be.
Yeah.
You can take a country kid from Greensboro, Florida. I'm a first generation kid, and my parents instilled discipline in me. And you can't say what you want to say when you want to say it and do what you want to do because there are consequences. Again, when I lived under my parents, I was very, very structured. The school I went through, my little country school, was very, very structured. But they took learning seriously. Yes. And if I think about that and my military training and just experiencing life, I was like, wow, this place is not only great, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. That we have processes in place and you can exercise your right to vote and you have all of these things, but it creates a society.
Society. That's
And
one of the things to talk about in this book is the first step of society, law and order.
Law and order.
You can't have a society.
Yeah.
You can't have banks. You can't have
That's
houses.
right.
You can't have those
That's
things if someone can just come and take it.
But
It's
you
got to
can-
be law and
But
order.
you can take advantage of opportunity.
Yeah.
It allowed me
Yeah.
to say, listen, I want to, and I didn't have to. I'm thankful I didn't have to borrow money to go to school. My Navy time did it for me, and it gave me an opportunity to grow up. But also the times that I failed.
Yeah.
And the military was great for me, and I served my country proudly. But it opened my eyes to all of the possibilities that a young guy from Greensboro, Florida, man,
That's inspiring.
Just have nowhere in particular kind of like place, but yet I was given opportunities and created.
You feel like you saw that what you could be in the Navy.
And I didn't take it. I didn't take advantage of the system in some type of way to harm the system.
No.
I took advantage of the system was like I can go and get a good education.
Yes.
And I didn't go to a big resource. FAMU was a good school for me, for someone who was coming out. I think there's all types of institutions. I think that there's place if people are just willing to work within a society and abide by the laws. But when you go against it, and if you just allow things to just be wide open,
Got to be some law and order.
It's got to be.
And the order is as important as the law.
I got to believe.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Dr. Irvin Clark.
Are you ready to connect your organization with an audience that is eager for inspiration? My Big Comeback, hosted by John R. Ramsey, shares powerful stories of resilience and redemption, featuring guests who have turned life setbacks into major comebacks. New episodes drop the 1st and 15th of every month. For those interested in being a part of this community, sponsorship opportunities are now available. To learn more, contact Sophia Tim at sophiatimhwc@gmail.com.
Hey, this is John Ramsey. I'm back with our special guest, Dr. Irvin Clark. So how long have you lived in Bay County?
At the end of July, will be completed 8 years. I'll start my 9th year.
So you know what? When we moved here, my parents and our little family, we moved here in 1980. I was 12 years old. And neither my mom or my dad's people, none of them lived here. And the reason we stayed in Panama City is because my mama said, this is such a good-sized little town. It's got everything we need, but it don't have that big city feel yet. There was no street gangs and all that going on. So it was a nice community to grow up in. Bay County's changing a little bit. We're getting a little bit bigger. What would you like to see Bay County have?
I'd like to see Bay County continue to grow in its economic development, to bring high-paying jobs into the area. But then also, as it grows, I see more and more cultural things like Dolly Parton coming, and like the golf that's coming. So I think that, and growth should be systematic. I mean, you don't want all this all of a sudden 2 million people living here. That'd be too much at one time.
And when they're talking about growth, I mean, I'm not sure this number exactly, but somewhere around 150,000 people now. That's all of Bay County.
Yeah, I think it's around 180 years.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it bigger?
But then just think about it. At any point in time, think about all the transient people that are here. Between your military communities and all of those great things that drive people to want to stick their toe in that green water. It's something special.
Well, but you think of even that 180 people doubling over the next 10 to 15 years. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of
people. So infrastructure, schools, hospitals, which is a big part of what you're involved in. But roads, bridges, stuff like that. And those are big tasks. So the growth being managed and right is a difficult thing. And I see a lot of people that it does come down to jobs.
It does.
Because when I grew up, it was either the military base or tourism. So those was your two opportunities. Maybe the paper mill back in those days. But now we're getting other industries come in, more options. Great for our young people, because I'm thinking now that our children, my children and grandchildren, will have a choice. Maybe they could stay in Panama City and have a career.
That's the goal. I mean, you don't want all your talent to leave here. So our partners, Becker Hardin and Ben Morman at the EDA and the Chamber and working with the institutions, our political doing a great job bringing companies like Premier Aviation, IAG, Central Mahoney, Amazon now, FedEx. I mean, think about it.
Yeah,
If
big
people,
opportunities.
I mean, we are heavy on the service and retail side. And a lot of that came out when Hurricane Michael hit, but then we was also heavier on people being renters versus homeowners. So you need higher paying jobs. You need the right balance of it.
Let me ask you this: anything new happening at the college?
God, man,
tell me.
Listen, right now we are working on new degrees. I don't know if you heard of this initiative called Inspire. It's around dealing with hypersonic technology and high-end wind turbine testing systems. And
you got all that in Panama City?
We do. And matter of fact, matter of fact, FSU got the largest grant through this through the Triumph Fund, if you call the oil spill that happened about 15 years ago. $98.6 million to develop this. But again, it's not just FSU.
Yeah,
it's Gulf Coast State College.
Yes,
what great things that President Glenn McDonald's doing.
That's a great opportunity for people.
Bay District schools, and
I mean, learn that right here in our city,
and then to be able to stay, you have the good option to stay here.
It's
fantastic. Not that you can't stay and get high paying jobs.
Yeah,
you can, and there's nothing like creating those options here and having the homegrown.
That is fantastic.
And then this also it makes this region more of a destination place.
Now, let me ask you this: as far as the hospital goes, are you going to have a lot of your medical training there, as far as students?
Yes.
So it'd be a hands-on learning hospital.
Med students in their 3rd and 4th years.
In their 3rd and 4th years.
They do their first and 2nd years residency at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital in Tallahassee.
Yes.
Working through the College of Medicine.
That is great.
And so that's a win-win for us.
Yes. Yeah. What an opportunity. Yeah. Man, I could talk to you all day.
Yeah, I think we can.
I think we can. I mean, between two preachers, between everything else you got going on with the school, I could talk to you all day.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, you've been a fun guest, and I enjoyed talking to you. And I look forward to seeing you again. I know we'll cross paths.
Anything that we can work on together.
Thank you, Dr. Clark. Thanks for being with us on My Big Comeback. Thank you.